Baxter the Slow Bunny. Baxter was a brown and white bunny who lived with his family in a small burrow on the edge of a beautiful meadow filled with colourful wildflowers. All the other bunnies loved to spend their days racing and playing tag in the sunny meadow. But not Baxter. He just couldn't run very fast no matter how hard he tried. His 4 little brothers and sisters were always zipping right by him whenever they had races. Baxter would end up at the back of the pack every time, panting for breath. This made Baxter very sad. One sunny spring morning, Baxter watched wistfully from the burrow's entrance as the rest of the bunny children ran and played together. His floppy ears drooped down. "Hey, Baxter, why don't you come race with us?" shouted his sister Bella. She ran by so fast that her long ears fluttered behind her like streamers. Baxter just sighed and put his head down on his paws. "No thanks," he said. "You know I can't run fast. I would just slow you down." Bella zoomed over to nuzzle her big brother. "Oh, don't say that," she said. "It's no fun without you." But Baxter only shrugged. "Nah, you bunnies go ahead. I don't mind watching." Just then, their mother Josephine bustled into the burrow with her paws full of tasty clover and vegetables for lunch. "What's this I hear about my sweet Baxter not wanting to play?" Josephine said, her nose twitching. "A growing bunny needs his exercise." Baxter sighed again. "But Mama, they are all so much faster than I am. I can't keep up." Josephine put down the food and came over to nuzzle Baxter. "Now, my darling, what matters most is that you try your best, not how fast you go. Speed will come later." Baxter frowned. His mama just didn't understand. The other bunnies were so fast. What if he never got faster? What if he was always the slowest bunny in the meadow? The very thought made his long ears droop down to the floor. Suddenly, his brother Benjamin came bursting into the burrow, panting hard. "Did you guys hear?" Benjamin huffed, clearly out of breath from sprinting over. "Hear what, dear?" asked Josephine as she handed Benjamin a nice crisp carrot to munch on while he caught his breath. "There's going to be a race," Benjamin finally managed to say between big bites of carrot. "A race!" cried Bella. She started bounding up and down with excitement. "Oh, how wonderful! When is it? Can we all join?" Benjamin nodded eagerly. "Mr. Peter Cottontail, the leader of the East Meadow Bunnies, is organising it for 2 weeks from now. He stopped by while we were playing to invite all the bunny families. It's the 50th annual meadow race this year, so it will be bigger than ever." Josephine smiled. "My, that sounds like fun. Did he say what the prize would be?" "Uh-huh," said Benjamin. "A never-ending salad bowl." Baxter perked up his ears in surprise. "A never-ending salad bowl?" Their mother often told tales at bedtime of the legendary magic bowl that somehow never ran out of the tastiest salad greens. But Baxter had always assumed they were just made-up stories. Could the bowl be real? Benjamin nodded again with big eyes. "That's what Mr. Peter said. Isn't that the best prize ever?" All the bunnies started jumping up and down with joy over a prize like that, everyone except Baxter. His mood quickly sank again. A prize for the fastest bunny. So there was no way he would have a chance at winning it. His siblings would probably fight over who got to use the magic bowl first. With his ears and whiskers drooping sadly, Baxter turned to go sit by himself in the corner. But Josephine would not hear of Baxter excluding himself from the excitement. "Now, Baxter dear, I can see you are thinking you cannot win, but why don't you join the race anyway?" she said. "It will still be fun to participate with your brothers and sisters. And who knows, my sweet boy, miracles sometimes happen when you least expect them." Baxter sighed. He knew his mama was only trying to make him feel better. Miracles were not for slow bunnies like him. But still, he didn't have the heart to say no to Josephine. She was always so kind and believed in him, even when he had no hope himself. "Okay, Mama, I'll be in the race too," Baxter finally agreed. Josephine's face lit up, and it made Baxter happy to see her proud smile. He decided he would run the race for his mama, but he knew in his heart he could not win. Over the next 2 weeks, the bunny children were buzzing with excitement about the big race. While his siblings practiced sprinting through the meadow every day, Baxter begrudgingly went along at his slow pace. No matter how hard he tried to run fast, it was just no use. He would never be speedy like the other bunnies. Finally, the morning of the big event arrived. Josephine made sure Baxter and all the bunnies had a hearty breakfast of fresh sweet peas and crispy radishes to fuel up. Then, lots of neighbouring bunny families started arriving to walk together to the racecourse Mr. Peter had set up on the other side of the meadow near the brook. Baxter shuffled his paws slowly along at the back of the group, dreading what was to come. This was going to be humiliating when he came panting in dead last place. He just knew it. All the other faster bunnies would laugh at him again, like they always did whenever Baxter attempted any kind of speed. But Baxter knew his wise mama had been right. It was still better to be part of the event with his family and friends, even if he finished last. At least this way he could cheer his brothers and sisters over the finish line. He would clap loudly for whichever bunny won the grand prize. When the group of chattering bunnies arrived at the racecourse, Baxter took a reluctant hop over to stand in position behind the starting line Mr. Peter had drawn across the meadow grass. Josephine smiled proudly and called out, "You can do it, Baxter. I believe in you, my darling." Baxter gave a half-hearted smile back, but in his heart he felt droopy. The race would be 5 long laps around the perimeter of the meadow, looping back to this same starting spot. 5 entire laps. Just thinking about it made poor Baxter want to stop to catch his breath already. But he had made a commitment to his loving mama to try his best. So Baxter decided he would take it step by step, 1 lap at a time. If he got really tired or needed to slow down to a crawl, so be it. At least he would make it to the finish at some point. Mr. Peter Cottontail stepped up to address all the excited bunnies who had now lined up and were waiting for the starting whistle. Baxter could barely see the leader bunny at the front of the pack, with all his brothers and sisters with their springy hind legs bouncing eagerly in front of him. He scooched over a few paw steps just in time to hear Mr. Peter announce, "On your mark, get set, go." Then Mr. Peter blew the shrill starting whistle, and they were off. A huge herd of speedy little cottontails went zipping by so fast that poor Baxter got tangled up in the storm and lost his balance. He tumbled over a few times before scrambling back up to his feet. By the time Baxter got steady enough to start his slow but steady pace, every single bunny was way out in front of him, already finishing the first lap curve towards their second time around the meadow loop. Baxter sighed, but focused on counting his steps. 1, 2, 3. Ugh, his back left paw was a little sore from the starting tangle-up. He wondered if any of the other back-of-the-pack bunnies were plodding along at his turtle speed too. But after a quick glance over his shoulder, he could not spy a single bunny behind him. Sigh, no surprise. It looked like it was just Baxter limping his way towards the back of the bunny pack this time too. Suddenly, Baxter heard a strange noise approaching from the side. He paused and perked up his radar ears. Was that whimpering? He turned to look, and from a cluster of bushes emerged the sad face of a little brown puppy peering back at him. The pup cocked his head curiously at Baxter, then made the whimpering sound again. Baxter immediately sensed something was wrong. He may not be speedy, but he was very good at reading other animals' feelings from his mother's reaction. This poor pup clearly needed help. "What's wrong, little pup?" asked Baxter in his gentlest voice. The puppy whimpered again and turned back to look at the bush he had emerged from. Baxter tilted his head to better see where the pup was looking. That's when Baxter noticed the puppy's back hind leg was wedged in a small hole at the base of the bush, trapping him there. "Oh no, you're stuck," said Baxter. The puppy whined loudly in response. Baxter realized there was no way this poor pup could get free without help. Forgetting all about the race now, Baxter rushed over to take a closer look at the puppy's trapped leg. "Don't worry, I'll get you out, little buddy," Baxter said soothingly. He could feel the pup relax a bit, comforted to not be alone anymore. Baxter assessed the situation. The hole was too narrow for the pup's paw, but the rest of his leg could squeeze through if it was pushed at the right angle. Baxter would have to gently guide the leg while the puppy wiggled free. "Okay, pup, on the count of 3, I need you to pull your leg towards me as hard as you can while I push the sides of the hole out a bit. Ready?" The puppy blinked at Baxter with big, trusting eyes and gave a little yip that Baxter took to mean yes. 1, 2, 3, pull! Baxter pushed sideways on the hole edges while the puppy yanked his leg. Success! After a minute of working together, the puppy's paw came free with a little scrape, but nothing major. The pup immediately started licking Baxter's face in pure joy and gratitude for the rescue. Baxter laughed. "You're welcome, little buddy. Now let's get you back home safe." Baxter helped the puppy walk slowly on his sore leg over the next hill where he said his boy lived. Baxter made sure to hide them both in the bushes any time humans were near, just to be safe. Soon they came upon a quaint little cottage with a young boy sitting on the steps, looking worried. When the boy spotted the puppy limping down the path, his face lit up with relief. "Buddy, there you are," cried the boy as he ran over to scoop up the puppy in a warm embrace. The boy cuddled Buddy close while checking his hurt paw, then brought him inside for a treat. Baxter smiled happily and turned to head back to the race. He knew he had no chance of winning now, as he'd been gone a while. But somehow that no longer mattered to him at all. In fact, he felt like even bigger of a winner after helping that sweet puppy in need. As Baxter approached the racecourse again, he suddenly heard loud cheering. He popped his head out of the bushes in time to see Benjamin bounding over the finish line, his furry chest puffed up proudly as he glanced back waiting for the other racers to catch up. To Baxter's great surprise, not another single bunny was even close behind Benjamin. Every bunny, including Baxter's entire family, was gathered around Benjamin, congratulating the new champion. Baxter couldn't believe Benjamin had run so far ahead of the whole pack. As Baxter slowly limped out of the bushes, the crowd suddenly turned and started cheering wildly for him too. "There he is, our wonderful Baxter," cried Josephine. She rushed over and embraced Baxter with tears of joy in her eyes. "We are so very proud of you, my son." "Huh?" said Baxter, thoroughly confused. Proud of him for what? He'd been in dead last place almost the entire time. Josephine smiled knowingly and turned to Mr. Peter Cottontail. "Please, sir, tell my boy what you told all of us after witnessing his good deed." Mr. Peter stepped forward and patted Baxter on the back. "Young Baxter, we all saw from here at the finish line when you selflessly stopped your own race to help rescue that poor lost puppy over the hill. While certainly raising a champion speed demon like Benjamin brings me joy." Mr. Peter paused to gesture at a bashfully grinning Benjamin. "What brings me even greater joy is seeing the love and generosity you demonstrated today, Baxter. For though you may not be the fastest physically, you showed the world today that in here." And Mr. Peter thumped a paw over his heart. "You have the strongest heart and selfless soul I've seen in all my many years." The crowd of bunnies erupted into even louder cheers, and Baxter's eyes welled up with happy tears to receive such praise. His mama had been absolutely right. Miracles really could happen when you least expect them. Who cares about winning races when he could win hearts instead? From that day forward, Baxter kept helping not just bunnies whenever they were in need, but all kinds of animals across the meadow over the years ahead. And in time, stories started spreading of how, whenever anyone was helped by that kindly, gentle soul of a brown bunny named Baxter, he made them feel for a moment that they too could win any race or succeed at any dream their heart desired. And although he was slow, he seemed to be in the right place at right time always, whenever his help is needed. The end.